me a Blackstone, and I love doing it.
Oh, the griddle? The griddle?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only way to go.
Yeah, I just got one.
You ain't got to worry about a flame or charcoal.
Yeah, I just got one. I got one. I seasoned it up to like 4 times, and then we did smash burgers.
Oh.
And was that what you were making this past weekend?
Girl, that is what I was making this past weekend. That's exactly right. It was so good.
What is the
Daddy GT.
I'm just saying.
Not show notes, chat it up.
I'm just saying, man. It was so, the griddle. And I was already saying, like, Christmas morning, pancakes, like, I'm going to go to, like, Cracker Barrel, get the mix. I mean, it's over.
It's over.
Heck yeah. Well, welcome to Signal Mountain High School. We're hanging out here in their new locker room. We're hanging out with their first-year head coach, Mr. Coach Mark Mariakis. They got a big win, did Signal Mountain this past weekend, 45-29 against McMinn Central to start the season. Bo Cooper, Times Free Press Player of the Week. Coach, it's good to have you back on the show. You were on the first version of Chat It Up. Now you're on the new version of Chat It Up.
Yeah. Man,
Welcome back.
This is a production, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is impressive.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we best money can buy for us now. We've got all the cameras and all the nice stuff. We're making you look crispy with the lights
Yes.
and everything, but having a great time. Signal Mountain, they haven't had a winning season since 2021. Good start for you guys on Friday. You got a win, but talk to us a little bit about you getting here, because for the last year and a half, you were at Boyd Buchanan. You were coaching with Gary Rankin, obviously one of the most famed high school coaches in this area. So how did you end up here?
Yeah, it was. It kind of goes back to even the Chattanooga Christian that last year there. Most people don't know. It was in the paper though when it happened. We were caregivers for my mom when my dad passed, and so my mom 2 years ago started going really downhill. And I was the head football coach at Chattanooga Christian, and just couldn't juggle the two. I mean, my wife and I just could not handle running a football program, a successful football program at Chattanooga Christian, and taking care of my mom. And she's going to win that battle every time. Of course. So I had to give that job up. And then when I did, Coach Rankin had just gotten hired at Boyd. Didn't really know Coach Rankin, knew of him, obviously. If you're in this sport, you know Coach Rankin. And somebody said, hey, he's looking for an assistant coach. Let me give him a call. He wound up calling me 5 minutes later. So that's how I got to Boyd Buchanan. And actually he said, just tell me what you want to do. And I said, I can't take football home right now. Yeah. So I was coaching his linebackers, and just an honor to be watching a guy at his caliber run a football program was impressive. And
what made him so good? Like what was different about him than anybody else that you'd maybe been around?
Yeah, he's such a detail-oriented coach, and he demands that everything at practice is perfect, and just gets the most out of his kids. And he just brings this aura of winning, and you're going to win, you're going to do right. And that's from the assistant coaches to the players. Trust me. I mean, I was on my P's and Q's every day. But it was Boyd stepped in where I needed a break and not bringing football home and watching films all weekend long because I was taking care of my mom. And so she wound up passing this past August. When that happened, the assistant principal AD up here, Coach Beasley, and I coached together. He actually called me for a reference for a guy they were going to hire in the PE spot. They had a teacher leave 2 days within school. And I knew the guy. I'd coached with him. And I said, yeah, great guy. I'd hire him. No red flags. And so we were just catching up, and they said, okay, I appreciate the reference. We're going to go ahead and hire him. And he hesitated and said, now, unless you want the job. And so I went up here the next 2 or 3 days, talked to him, took the job, and really accepted the middle school football program and the middle school baseball program. And so just minding my own business during that. And then they had a change here, and there I was. And then they came and said, will you apply? here we are.
I can tell you're a man that can't say no to a lot of things.
My wife says that all the time. I'm a really bad retiree and a guy that can't say no. But
Yeah, I could tell that already because the last time we talked, you even said, "Hey, I'm starting to think about slowing down a little bit." Here you are, Coach.
I did. It wasn't a long thought, but it was a thought.
It was a thought.
Yeah, it was good.
Good thought.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask too from Rankin, like, what are some little things you learned you kind of taken away from that and brought up here?
I've already mentioned the detail-oriented side. I mean, we practice similar things. One of his the way he practices is totally different than anybody I've ever seen. He practices in 10-minute segments. So it's offense 10 minutes, defense 10 minutes, and it's that way for 2 hours. And you're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. We do that on Wednesdays as kind of a game mode, but he does it every single day. And so learned a lot about that. Learned a lot about, and he hires great coaches. That's not talking about me, but everybody around that staff knew what they were doing. And he just demands the best out of everybody.
Yeah.
And it works, He just has that aura that kids just play hard, and they, as we're trying to do here, instead of hoping to win, they expect to win.
Yeah.
And it's a hard turn sometimes, but you just keep battling and keep pushing, and hopefully we'll have it here.
Well, don't sell yourself short because you're a pretty damn good head coach, or coach just in general as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I know how to hire real well too.
That's a good.
It's a good quality.
Yeah.
It's a good quality to have.
You talk about hiring, and that's first of all, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you.
My man. I actually use an example that you gave on the original Chat It Up, and you have no idea what I'm about to say.
No.
So I remember one time you were going to a recruiting story. I want you to talk about it because you were talking about a certain national championship head coach walking into somebody's backyard saying, they want you, but we need you.
Yeah.
I said that to somebody on the phone today.
Really?
For a job,
Yeah.
yes. And I think I'm going to get them.
Really?
Can you walk me through exactly that example of like how recruiting and just being like the CEO of a football program, like you're really good at that?
Well, I appreciate the compliment. You want me to take you back to that story?
Take me back to that story specifically.
Reiterate it.
Because it is the best.
It's one of our favorites, Coach. You got to tell.
Okay. That story came from when we were playing for a state championship in the Georgia Dome back in 2012, and a little player named Von Bell was on the team.
No big deal.
And so we're there, and Urban Meyer was in the stands, and at that time it was down in Alabama, Urban Meyer in Tennessee for that. And Coach Meyer and his staff did a great job of recruiting, developing a relationship. And so long story short, getting to that quote, we, game ended, we're in the locker room, it was sad, season's over, and the kids are getting on the bus, and it was me, Vaughn and Coach Myers in the locker room by ourselves. And it was kind of the last time he's going to speak to him before recruiting day, National Signing Day. And he was just saying, great season, da-da-da. And he said, but I got one thing to tell you. He said, I know everybody in the country wants you. He said, and I know Alabama wants you, but we need you. And he said, and there's a big difference. And I just thought, man, I'm ready to go.
Sign me up, Coach.
Let's go back out there.
How can you not go there? And so it was one of those moments. But that whole recruiting thing that year was crazy with Vaughn. He had literally every offer in the country. I mean, sight unseen. They were just mailing them in, just mailing full rides in. UCLA, USC. I mean, they weren't flying out there. They just said, Coach, if he wants to come west, here it is. But Coach Meyer, Coach Saban obviously is.
He's Coach Saban.
He's just Coach Saban.
Yeah.
I mean, he's recruiting. He recruited 2 of my kids, and I'm taking notes while he's talking. In the recruiting meeting while he's talking to the family, I'm writing down notes because he's just so wise and just knows what to say at the right point. He knows who's in the room. He knows what buttons to push. He knows what the mamas and daddies want to hear. And so those guys like them, they're in the business and successful for a reason.
And what are they looking for? I mean, you coach these kids, you sit down with them. I mean, and you're in those rooms. I mean, what are the common, themes that you're seeing from like these coaches?
I tell kids all the time and parents, and I don't think they believe me, just to be honest with you. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been blessed to have, I think 12 Power 5 kids sign, and they're looking for skill sets. They're not looking for stats. And so I tell parents all the time and kids, do not worry about stats. I mean, for 40 years, at the highest level of recruiting you could possibly get, and 2 kids in the NFL, playing NFL, I've never had a coach ask me for any player stats. None. Even baseball. I coached baseball. People don't know I coached baseball for a long time and had a lot of kids sign, had 3 guys go in the league. And I never had them ask me, Coach, what's their batting average? What's their ERA? How many? They don't care. They're looking for skill sets. But we get so caught up on numbers, and the parents get so caught up on numbers. They get so caught up on 1,000 baseball games in the summer and the 7-on-7 game. They don't care. They want your kid. I tell parents all the time, if you want to help your child, teach him to run correctly, jump high, create some power in the weight room. Those are the skill sets that they can't create.
Yeah.
It's not a batting average or yards per passing or catching, or they don't.
But that's what they see on social media, though. Like that's like the whole thing. Like NIL, all this is trickling out of high school at some point, right? And you're probably going to have to deal with this, maybe. But like, if you got to think about it, that's what they see.
That's right.
Like, how can I make me look really good? And it's all about branding. And so, but like you said, it's not what the coaches care about, the ones who make the decision, and you got to be in a pretty special spot to get there.
I was just going to say, like, to your point, Garrett and I coached a 12-year-old baseball team, and I can't tell you how many parents will come up to me and be like, why do you hit this kid here or play him there? He has X amount of errors or his batting average. I'm like, I don't even look at the stats. I can tell by me watching who should be playing where and why.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Bo Cooper was the player of the week at the Free Press. I had no idea he had 4 touchdowns and over 200 yards in a game. I don't know. I'm watching the kid score a touchdown. I don't really care who scores, And then at the end of the game, you kind of figure out, wow, it was the same kid score. I mean, you're in the midst of a game. The stats don't matter. It's just that we're scoring a touchdown. It's the only thing that matters. But I go back to the skill sets. On that 2012 team with Vaughn, we had a kid named Darrell Bridges, who was the leading rusher in the state of Georgia. Okay, that's not a simple thing to do, right?
No.
And he had the most touchdowns and the leading rusher, but he couldn't blow a 40 time really well, so that's why he couldn't. He had struggled to get that Division I offer, and But it's all about skill sets. It's all about numbers. I mean, he never got caught from behind. Ever. I can show you 15 games we played against other Division I DBs, and he left them every time. But when he timed a 40, it just, that 4.7 is not going SEC. And that same team had Gannon Hampton was our lineman that we had. And I would take Gannon, I took Gannon, Georgia and all the big ones to their lineman camp. And he would wear out those SEC signees at camp. And I won't mention names, I had 3 SEC coaches say, Coach, your kid is the best lineman in our camp, but we can't sign a 5'11" offensive lineman in the SEC. And so, it just crushed him, but it goes back to the stats and the numbers and the measurables.
Yeah.
He one-on-one wore them out. But 5'11".
Did he go on to play somewhere else?
Yeah, he did. He went actually Kennesaw.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
signed it.
So
Yeah,
doing all
he
right.
went to Carson Newman, went to Kennesaw. But his dream was to go Division I. I mean, he's that good. He's going. He's like tears in his eyes. Coach, I'm wearing out the 6'7" guy. What's it matter how tall I am, brother? I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's optics.
I'm with you.
It's all optics in
That's
the
right.
SEC.
That's right.
Point.
And to go back, because you talk about things you can't even measure, as you mentioned it in your little magazine article, about being the most physical team.
Yeah.
And now the wing tee definitely can help that in a lot of ways. So what do you mean by being the most physical team every time you go play?
You know, I'm just, you know, people may call it old school or whatever. You know, football's just, it's a physical game. And I just know that as a coach, if someone is running at us and we can't stop it, it's a miserable night. And so we've just always, the staff that I've got with me, the Signal Mountain did a fantastic job allowing me to bring with me 3 guys that I've coached with for 20 plus years. I mean, one of them I've known for 35 years coaching. My OC has been my OC for 20 years. And so we can finish each other's sentence. And all of us come from the same mold of, listen, we are going to be physical offensively, defensively, and special teams. We're going to try to create that mode. And I'm not sure, you know, the guys here, not bad, good, right, or wrong, they just weren't that physical. And so every day we practice in pads. Every day we practice in pads. We don't go in shells and helmets. We just don't do it. It's because you got to create that culture. And it took a while. I mean, after the first, I can remember we had spring practice, and you got to go in 2 days in helmets. You know, then you can start putting pads on.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of numbers out there in helmets after the first day in pads. We didn't have that big number no more.
I bet.
And we lost about 14 after that one day. And so again, it's not saying anything about those guys who didn't stay with us. It's just a culture shift. And the guys who are out there right now are loving it. They love the way we practice. We get after it. We take care of each other. We know how to practice physical without beating each other up. That's a skill set that you got to create. Because we want our guys to be healthy on Friday. That's what we tell them. But to be physical, you got to be physical. You know,
You have to practice being physical.
You got to be practicing. You got to do it. It don't come natural.
No.
It don't come natural. And so I thought Friday, you know, every time we've scrimmaged this year, that was kind of the 4th time we went against a team. Every time we've taken a step towards that being more physical. We're still not where we need to be. We're still not the best tackling team that we want to be. But again, that just comes with reputation, working at it, and tackling. You got to tackle. You got to tackle. You know, to run fast, you got to run fast. You got to sprint. So we're getting there.
Check us out, by the way, on all social media platforms at Chatted Up Sports. We always forget to do that at the beginning.
Oh, no. We got so excited.
Well, we like to leave a plug in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, GT got us started on the daggum Blackstone, so
That's true. That's the real conversation.
that's where it led
Yeah.
to.
So where do we stand on those topics?
Yeah, that's the big stuff.
Yeah. So when it comes to, you just mentioned a little bit about your defense. Talk to me a little bit about your offense. We were talking a little off the air about your quarterback, Cash Keen, and you had some pretty high praise for him as a passer of the football. And I think the misconception is when you have a wing T offense, it's, hey, we're just going to be running the ball. You might throw it 5-6 times, but that's not exactly what you guys do, and you have a pretty talented passer. Tell me about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope we're smart enough to do what our kids can do. You know, I think that's one of the things that our staff does well. I know the guys I've brought on, they're really good at figuring out what our kids can do, not what we want to do. And I think that's a mistake a lot of coaches make, not badmouth anybody, is here's what we're going to do. How do you know your kids can do it? You know, what's the skill set your kids have? And so we've just discovered that this wing tee, it's a kind of a hybrid wing tee. It doesn't matter if you've got kids who are marginal to the Von Bells and the Darrell Bridgeses. You can run it. You can be successful. It gives everybody a chance to do something. We're not asking kids to go out there and base block, drive block a guy that weighs 50 pounds heavier. We got angle blocks. And it's very versatile. With Cash as a passer, it opens up our window of the playbook. It's countless right now because we, got a guy who's smart, who can read a defense, who can read the coverages, and the offense allows us to have 3 receivers in a zone like that. And they're coming from the backfield. They're coming from the fullback position. They're not sitting out there in trips where my wife sees them. They're coming from everywhere. They're putting them in motion. So it's a little deceptive what the offense allows us to do, which gives those kids who are not the 4-2 kids or the 500 squatters a chance to be successful. That's all we want. We want our kids to have a chance to be successful. Put them in position to help them make plays. And like I said, Cash, we threw the ball last Friday, I think 15 times. He was 10 for 15. And to be honest with you, the 5 incompletions were Hail Marys at the end of the half, trying to just throw it up for a touchdown. So that's really, I don't think he had an incompletion when we were throwing a normal pass play.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and like I said, we were over 500 yards of offense. It was recorded at 498, but we were in victory position the last 3 plays at shotgun. We minus 15 yards the last 3 plays of the game. So, again, stats don't matter, right?
That's right. That's right.
But they're fun to talk about.
Yeah,
It's fun to talk about.
They're fun to talk about.
But it's, it was a good night, and Cash gives us something that we've really never had in a quarterback that can sit back there and really throw a pretty ball.
That's fun.
We've had those athletes back there, but Cash is a quarterback.
Yeah, that's fun.
It makes us look smart.
That's what a good quarterback will do for you.
That's right.
Coach, you've been doing this a little bit, right? And
Be careful.
I gotta watch my words here.
Yeah, he's drawing this out a little bit.
Just a few years. Just a few years.
How have you been able to evolve over time? Like, you've been able to just adapt, like to hear somebody who's done this, still putting up 500 yards of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you're also able to still reach these kids. Like, respectfully, these kids this ain't 2012 anymore. Like, you would be able to reach me. Like, I'm hanging on to every single word you're talking about. Like, I'm not even live with you. But it's like, how are you able to reach a kid that's going to graduate in like 2026? Like, how are you able to do that?
That's a good question.
Great question.
I think the bottom line is kids long for relationships, and kids long for discipline. They're not going to ever tell you that last one.
Nope.
But discipline gives them security. When there's guardrails, they feel free. People think the opposite. They think that, you just let them do what they want, and I've heard that so many times. Let them be kids. Let them do, that's chaos to me. And so we're very structured. We have a regiment. Our kids know, don't be late to practice. Our kids know, when we're in a meeting room at 7 in the morning watching film before school, you better be in a chair at 7 o'clock in the morning. When we go to a pregame meal, is no talking. I'm not talking about there's whispering. There is no talking. Does it make it right or wrong? Does it win us ball games? No, but it teaches the kids that there's a certain way that this program is going to be done, and if you're going to be a part of it, then this is how you're going to do it. And the kids they've become almost one entity because they've all bought into it. There are no individuals. We don't talk about stats. We don't put up individual stats. We don't talk about that. We won a football game, and we, like, for an example, when we gave out awards Monday morning, this morning we send out a letter, and we give out about 15 awards a night, every Friday night. Half of those awards go to scout team players. Our seniors pick 2 scout team players a week to go flip the coin with them. We want to make sure that every kid knows they're valued on this program. It doesn't matter if you're the Cash Kings or the Bo Coopers. If you're the kid that's a freshman just getting ripped every day on the scout team, you're valuable. And I think that, I don't know if it's the magic sauce, but when kids feel valued and they're looked at as important, no matter what I do for you, you value me and love me because I'm a human being and I'm out here, then I don't know, it creates that culture that we're looking for. And again, doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just what we do. It's what our coaches do. It's the only way I know how to do it. It's the only way I'm going to do it. And when they get tired of it, I can drop my keys.
He'll retire at that point.
I can drop it, man.
So I'll retire for the third time. And
yeah, this is what we're going to do. And you hired me knowing it. So we just, again, it's not for everybody. Really, it's not. I mean, if they're an individual out there that's looking for, likes and clicks on social media and my highlight film,
this ain't the program for you.
This ain't it, man. This ain't it. But the kids out there right now, they're good football players, and they're going to be better football players after they're with us. But the most important thing is that they're going to be a good husband and a good father, a good human being, and they love each other. Because I'm telling you, nobody knows my stats in high school. Nobody cares, right? But my wife cares that I love her, and my girls care that I love them, and I, take care of them.
Yeah.
There's the important thing. This is a football game. It's a game. We tell them all the time, man, this is a game.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Is it important on Friday nights? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does it cost coaches their job when you don't win enough? Yes. But it's a game.
Yeah.
Our society's kind of created this monster that we make it bigger than it is, man. And I hope we haven't ruined the purity of high school sports as it should be, but I'm afraid we have with the NIL.
Getting pretty close,
and the transfer. I mean, we're going down a slippery slope.
Now, I wanted to ask just really quickly, because you've mentioned your wife on numerous occasions.
Yes.
And I want to give you an opportunity to show her more love than I know you already do. But just talk to us a little bit about the role that she plays and what you do and how you're able to go to all these different places and have success. And, it's the woman behind the football coach.
Well, we've been married. My wife's name's Debbie, and we've been married for 49 years. 39 years. 39 years.
It's better that you said more than less.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go.
For 39 years. It'll be 40 this May. And, I always say this. I think coaching is a calling. I won't say if you do it right. If you do it the way I think it should be done, it's a calling. You are dealing with the most precious possession that parents have, and that's their children. Mm-hmm. And so we treat it that way. And so when I say that, I think coaches, if they're called to coach and to impact young men, that their wives will be called as well. It's almost like a pastor's wife. Mm-hmm. If a pastor's called, the wife has got to be called, because there's so much sacrifice. Right now I'm leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting home, after 8 tonight. But she'll be up and she'll be waiting. Like Friday night, we got home at 2 o'clock in the morning from McMinn, and I walk in and she's up. I don't think she's ever missed but one ball game in 40 years of coaching. That's when my youngest daughter was in a beauty pageant in Atlanta. That's
a good reason.
So that was okay. Yeah. I gave her okay. But, she's just the biggest fan, and she loves these kids just like I do. And but every coach on my staff, their wives are out of the same mold. Man, they're supporters. They love the kids. They understand their sacrifice. I get so many coaches that get into this profession that say, well, my wife won't let me, do the weekend stuff, or they'll never make it now. Mm-hmm. The marriage won't make it, or the coaching profession won't make it, because it is during the football season, it's 85 hours a week. Yeah. With your teaching job and film and practice and staff meetings, on Sunday afternoons. It's a long time, but my wife is. She's a dream, man. Listen, I go home, if she's got a ball game on, she's watching, she's yelling at it, man. Yeah. That's it. So anyway, yeah.
Can I get 3 claps?
I was going to say,
give her
3 claps one time for Debbie.
Hey, man, yeah.
It is kind of crazy too, because granted I'm in sports, but I'm more of the I'm the SID at Brown College, so. It's amazing, how much you see in your wives. Because for me, that's been the biggest thing and like a part of her you didn't know you loved because you didn't experience it yet.
Yeah,
and it's
that's right.
it's 75 hours a week. Like your boy's home late, an hour drive, and you just don't understand how much support they actually have for you and doing those things. And it's like, wow, that is a tool that one day all these kids out here, when you're trying to find a wife, somebody that's going to let you work 75 hours.
Absolutely.
But hold you accountable.
Absolutely. Well, I'll go back and be totally transparent. When I first got married, and I first started coaching, I was an idiot for home life now because sports controlled me. And so those early years were not good. But what God did with that was it created, my wife and I now have a marriage ministry that we do marriage retreats, we do marriage counseling, marriage mentoring, awesome. For really anybody, but particularly coaches, because coaches can only speak to coaches, right? Mm-hmm. And coaches' wives can only speak to coaches' wives. If you're not a coach's wife, you have no idea what we're talking about, nothing. So through that rough time, and praise the Lord that my girls were too small to remember that time. We came out of it so strong, and I realized that when I'm home, she wants me home. Mm-hmm. But she understands I'm not home a lot during football season, and so we've had to just morph this relationship into how are we going to make it work. So we have just kind of a routine that she knows, like we got home at 2:00 Friday night, Saturday morning at 2. Well, I'm up at 7 watching film for the next, for Notre Dame this week. But we know at lunchtime, I'm cutting the film off and we're going to go eat lunch. And we just have this 2-hour, 3-hour lunch period. I'm going back home and finishing up film. And, so you just make it work. Yeah. And again, when you're called, you make it work. People look at you and say, ain't no way I'd do that. There's no way you'd be a coach's wife and a coach.
Damn right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, love that lady.
Yeah, that's what makes our wives so great because they're chatted up wives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
they don't know what it's like.
They let us do this stuff.
Love y'all.
Yeah, store all this stuff in our garage. Let me move it around. I tell her 8. It's like 9:30.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the boys come over to the house afterwards. She's like, all right, cool.
Well, Chase and I, we have 2 girls on our first kids. And they're both girls. You mentioned being a girl. Shout out girl dads, right? Being a girl dad. So tell me, I want to learn more about that because that's something that's like on my.
We're knocking on door.
Yeah, like 6 weeks. That's how far we are out.
Yeah, we're only a week apart.
Yeah, we're a week apart. I don't know. We timed it up and said, hey, how's it going over there?
Yeah, good job, man. Good job. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I've got 2 beautiful angels. Krista and Kelly are my daughters, and they're 35 and 33. I mean, I'm old. Got a grandbaby. But yeah, they just grew up a coach's kid. I mean, they just grew up on the field. They grew up going to ball games on Friday. And it's just, it was part of them. I can remember when I was at Chattooga, one of the things that we did, and we've done this other places, but when I was at Chattooga County, we actually took over a 2-month period, every kid on the team home with a coach. A coach took a kid home and spent the weekend with. We got permission from the parents. Obviously, we didn't kidnap them. But,
I was like, there's some checks and balances there.
There were different times. There were some legal things that we did. Okay.
You're coming with me.
Every coach come with you.
And,
coach told me I had to come.
But we did. We felt like I remember when I went to Chattooga, those kids could not believe that I drove all the way from North Georgia, Chattanooga to Chattooga, and a lot of those kids had never been out of Somerville. And so we just felt like it's take the kids home with us on the weekend, pick them up on Saturday, go do something with them, take them to church on Sunday morning, and then bring them back home on Sunday night. And I say that without getting choked up. I can remember these guys, these young men from Chattooga, in my floor with my girls. They were like 3 and 4, playing Candyland with them.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm looking at them. My wife and I are just looking there at them. These guys are 250-pound linemen that had never been out of Somerville, and in the floor with these two young kids playing Candyland, you know. And I can remember taking these two kids we had two come over one weekend, and so we took them to a Lookouts game. They'd never been to a Lookouts game. And we took them to Krispy Kreme, right? Ooh, okay? Now, Krispy Kreme at night with the flashing sign, you know, hot donuts, hot donuts. Well, we go into Krispy Kreme, and they're looking at, you know, the donuts being made and stuff. And they go up there and they say, well, we want 2 donuts with sprinkles. I said, wait a minute now. You don't go to Krispy Kreme at night and order sprinkles. Yeah. You got to get the hot donut, you know. And so those are great memories that they'll forever be with me. But that's my environment my girls grew up in. The kids were coming over, you know, dad may have a kid come over that his mom and dad are drunk, divorcing, and they needs a place to stay or whatnot. And that was their lifestyle. Yeah. And they never complained. They knew that we loved those boys. And they were part of the process of this journey that we've been on in coaching and a coach's wife. But I can remember my oldest daughter when I retired from Georgia at Ridgeland, and there was a press conference when that happened. I mean, she was in the office boo-hooing, just could not believe that Dad was not going to coach anymore. Yeah. That's how much it meant to them. That's all they had seen Dad do since they were born.
For sure.
And so it just becomes part of you. And the girls are, you know, God knew what He was doing when He was giving me girls that calm me down.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, we talked about this.
I deal with boys all the time.
We talked about this.
You know? Oh yeah. So it's
a balancing act.
Oh, it's a balancing act for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to learn something. That's what it is.
Kind of going off of that, I wanted to kind of ask, what is the difference of Mark Mariakis for right now to like 10, 20 years ago? Whether it's like as a person or a football coach or a dad or whatever it may be.
The kids that see me coach that I've coached before said, man, you're much calmer now than you ever were back then.
The girls.
You know? But, you know, that's a good question. Because my body knows I'm not 20 years younger, okay? But my mind still feels like I'm 30 years old, you know? And I guess it's just being around kids all the time. And you have to stay young. You have to just be in there with them. I mean, again, relationships are the main thing, and it's hard to build relationships when you're not around somebody. And I guess the difference is just that's a good question, what the difference is, because I don't think there's a big difference. We're kind of doing, like I told a coach the other day, I said, listen, if you just get my tape of 20 years ago, you're going to see what we're going to do offense and defense. I mean, we ain't changed. Yeah. You know, there's no secrets. It's just what we do very well. But I think it's just the physical. I see I'm already tired. You know, it's game one. And so I have to be careful of making sure that I'm getting, you know, my rest. I go to bed really early at night.
Well, we appreciate you staying up late with us here.
Oh, yeah, man. It's way past my bedtime already.
He's already starting to creep in over there.
No. That's a good question. I don't think there's a lot of difference. My wife may say different, but, you know.
We might have to get Miss Debbie on that.
That sounds like a good idea.
Right.
Coach, you got any game day rituals? Anything you do just out of the ordinary? Something that you eat, something you listen to? What does that look like?
That's good. Well, I can tell you this. Coach Edwards, our OC, that's been with me forever, it was Thursday. We were going through our last walkthrough on the game field. You know, we'd been on the practice field the whole time. So last Thursday was the first time we went on the game field. It was lined off and everything. And it's a very short practice on Thursday. It's about a 45-minute practice. If you don't know about Thursday, you're not going to know it. So we don't sit there and spend a lot of time on Thursdays. Then we're talking to him at the very end, and he goes, guys, I just want to let you know something. Do not talk to Coach Mariakis tomorrow. Don't talk to him. You know, if you got a question, ask one of the other coaches. Now, Fridays is an on-edge day for me. You know, there's so much going through my head about did we forget something? Do we have the scout report? Do we have the depth chart? All the things that go into it. And I used to never eat a pregame meal, ever. I'd eat lunch, and then I wouldn't eat until after the game. And but I think when I was at Boyd, and a little calmer, and Coach Rankin was in charge, I started eating pregame meals.
Yes.
I'm not going to pass up this free meal.
Absolutely.
And so I ate a pregame meal Thursday, and the coaches all just kind of looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, y'all didn't know I've started eating pregame meals."
That's what's changed in the last 10 years.
That's the biggest change.
That's the change.
Yeah, know it.
That's funny.
So, but anyway, there's not a lot of routines except we're very structured. My game day schedule, if you looked at it, it's the coaches will kid me. It's like, at 6:32 we're doing this. At 6:37 we're doing this. It's not, it's not those clean 5-minute increments. And everything's structured. There's no downtime. There's no free time. We're doing something. We're in the chairs after school. We're walking through special teams. We're eating a pregame meal. We got a devotion going on. We're watching film. The black squad's the varsity. The red squad's the JV. Black squad is watching film. Red squad is walking through a practice because they got a game on Monday. Then the red squad's coming in to dress. Black squad's going up to walk through their stuff. Red squad's in the chairs. Black squad's coming in and dress. Anyway, it's routine. We know what it is, and the kids loved it because it gave them some sense of security and discipline, and that everything's okay and everything's in control. Coach has got this. We're not looking around like, what's the next? It's very structured. Yeah. So my game routine is structure. And now eating.
Now eating. That's important.
We love to hear it.
Yeah.
We're big eating podcast here. So.
Yeah, but look at his shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking at that shirt like the whole show. I'm like starving.
I'm getting a little hungry at this
Starving.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah.
Well, guys.
I know you got something for Coach here. I gave him the homework assignment that you asked me to give him. So I figured we could finish up with that.
Do you want to get this quote out? I was going to get him to write on the whiteboard. Can I pop that whiteboard out
We
for you,
could.
Coach?
Want me to get it? I'll go get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm made me nervous now.
It surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. He walked in with this thing.
Yeah, I was like, are we going to be drawing up plays?
What is this?
What are we doing?
I do want to know your game plan for the week.
Notre Dame won't watch this. Don't worry.
Like, this thing's not small either. Like,
Man.
where'd you find this at?
I don't want to tell you. All right, Coach.
Oh, gosh.
My word.
Yep.
This is a production here.
Monstrous here.
It's blank. It's like my mind.
Yep. So, all right, we're going to pull this guy down. You're going to write us a quote here. Favorite quote.
All right, so we're going favorite
Favorite
quote.
quote. Oh, you're going to make me write.
We're going
Yeah,
favorite
Yeah, I thought
quote.
he was going to say it. We got to write it out.
Let's hear it.
You want to write it out?
Write it out.
Okay.
Write it out and say it out. It's up to you.
I mean, you can't go wrong. There's a lot of really good quotes out there by a lot of really smarter people than all of us.
And there's a lot of quotes that are virtually the same quotes, but just said differently.
Different words,
Yeah.
different verbiage.
There are a lot of quotes that are different, that are said in a different way, that are different.
And that is
Different
a
tone of
Malcolm.
voice.
That's a Malcolm Harris original.
My favorite quote is, that I tell the kids all the time, your true character is going to come out in the midst of a storm. Ooh. Who you are is going to come out when things are tough and hard, not when you're winning or things are all good. Who you are is going to come out when things are going south. And we talk about it all the time, that, your true self is not in the pews of a church. It's Monday at work. It's when you're by yourself and nobody's watching. It's when the scoreboard is not in your favor. That's who you are. So you have to kind of evaluate yourself in those tough times, when home life's tough, when you're not getting what you want, you're not starting, you're not getting the touches, your stats ain't what they want to be.
Yeah.
That's how you respond and react to those moments really tells me who you are. And so that's why I try to tell the coaches,
Well, don't close that up, Coach. You got one more thing.
Okay. We can't act as a coaching staff act like an idiot on the sidelines and then expect our kids to be calm, because when the official makes a bad call, now what? Everybody's going to look at the coaches and see how they respond to it, and then the kids are just going to react to it. So yeah, I just believe that your true self comes out when in the tough times.
All right, write down one goal you have for the year.
One goal for the year.
Could be life, football,
anything,
kids, anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Be better each day.
Yeah.
We
Better
talked
each day.
we talked about that today. That Notre Dame don't care what we did last Friday. They don't care. That you have to prove yourself. Now that you've kind of opened up a spotlight on Signal Mountain football, you're gonna get everybody's best, and so you got to be better today than you were yesterday. If not, then we're going backwards. You never stay the same. You're either going backwards or you're getting better, and we can't waste a day. And hopefully, at the end of the year, you've taken enough steps forward to achieve what you wanted to individually and as a team.
That's good stuff, boys. That's good stuff right there, Coach.
Mind of a coach.
I didn't realize this thing was this big. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
I
I carried it out of the building today, and I was like, I could have sworn that was a little smaller.
I honestly thought it was a massive dartboard. That's what I thought. We were going to be playing darts.
Coach, yeah.
Like that just looks like it opens like a dartboard.
It does. You're not
I
wrong.
need this in this room is what I need.
He's
Yeah, you
not
do.
that old, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
He can see.
He can see just fine.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, it's been a blast. I mean, we had you, as I mentioned earlier, on the original Chat It Up podcast. Now we've got you on the new and improved one, and now you're at Signal Mountain.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a privilege to have you on every single time we get a chance to talk to you. You're a wonderful human being, a fantastic coach, a great husband, father, the whole thing. I mean, taking kids home, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we got some good stories out today.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time, man. I know it took a little while, the production, to set everything up, but awesome as always.
Well, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are awesome in what you're doing for Chattanooga area sports, and it's just I'm honored to be on your show.
Thanks, you.
Coach.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll definitely get you back, and we're going to obviously keep tabs on Signal Mountain football.
Absolutely.
We'll be up here a couple of times because we already got Chase Green up on
I'll
Signal
be
now,
right
too.
down the road, Coach. You ever need anything,
I got you.
if you need like
Wiggles.
if you need like a Dollar General version of a strength and conditioning coach, I'm here for you.
There you go. Be careful what you wish for on that.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Mariakis here, Chat It Up Sports. Can we give him 3 claps one time? Love it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.